So hey, check this out. I've been having a debate with this guy on DeviantArt, and we got into this thing with this thing here called hive moderation. So the idea is, can these AI detectors really detect if your work is AI generated or not? And the answer is yes and no. I'm going to demonstrate that for you now. I'm going to demonstrate how stupid it is. But first, let's get into the debate, just a little bit of it here. So we're going back and forth and stuff. And then he just made this ridiculous claim that, well, I mean, he claims he watched my Yuri one where I show how I do it step by step. And he claimed he watched that, and he's like, oh, well, it's still like 80% AI. I'm like, how do you even come to that, right? I'm like, you just made things up, gave zero reason to be taken seriously. For example, how did you come up with this 80%, 20% ratio, right? Like, where did that even come from? And so then he goes, well, look I went over to this website, Hive Moderation, and it says that this image that I made is a 99.9% probability that it's AI generated. And I'm like, okay, but that doesn't mean anything, because anything I upload, if I run it through if I upscale it and I run it through a low change of the pixels, right, or in this case, or a higher change of the pixels, then of course it's going to register that way. Now let me prove my point. Watch this. So I'm going to do this right here in front of you guys. Let's go to his account. I'm going to prove my point here on video so everyone knows that for sure this is the case. Let's go here, right click, open his in a new thing. Let's go to his account here. Let's go to his gallery. I'm going to go to this crow here. Bam, this is his painting. Right click. I'm going to copy this image. I'm going to go over here to invoke AI. I'm going to paste his image in here. Before I do anything to it, just to prove my point, all I'm going to do is take off the size, so it's going to be the same size for each one of the tests I do. So I'm going to take that away, come down here, take that away. Okay, so now it's the exact same size, like this. I'm going to save this out. We're going to go over here to this AI generated. I'm going to upload the last one, which is the last one here. This is the one I generated before, but this is the one I just now made. And matter of fact, here, just to prove this, I'm going to delete this again. Nothing here. Let's go ahead and go back here, download this image. Nothing's done to it yet, still his image. All I did was change the size. It should say 0% on it because it's his artwork. I've already tested it before, and so it shouldn't recognize as AI. 100%, it says this is human made. Cool, good to go. Now let's go back here. Let's run a 0.08 image to strength, which means it's going to take the image that's there. Now the reason why this is going to register as AI generated is because the way this thing measures images is by the grouping of the pixels. The way that AI groups pixels is different the way that if you paint this in a program does. If you paint this in PaintStorm or Photoshop or whatever, the way it groups the pixels is totally different. And the way also, if you change its size in Photoshop or whatever, the way that the pixels are grouped is very different than the way AI groups the pixels. And that's what this AI generator thing is doing. That is trying to detect that grouping, right? And it's very good at detecting that grouping. The problem is detecting the grouping doesn't tell you whether it's AI generated or not. So watch, let's take this image. I say illustration of a raven standing on a jack-o'-lantern. I have it super small. It's hardly going to do anything. You'll see it right for your eyes. Watch this. It's going to take all those pixels. It hardly did anything with them, right? Because it's taking what's already there. It's going to accept that. I'm going to go back and forth to show you. So here's the original. Here's AI. Original, AI. I liked how it actually changed the eye. The eye looks a lot cooler. But for the most part, this is still his artwork. Like, nothing here is different. This is all his design. Everything is, like, if you just saw them side by side, you'd barely be able to tell the difference anyway. In fact, it's so similar that if I were to upload this, DeviantArt would say, hey, it would notify him and say, hey, someone has your artwork. Okay, I'm going to obviously leave the thing on there. Now let's save this out, download that. Now watch what happens. It's still his artwork. It's not AI generated. I did very little to it. 99.9% likely to be AI generated. Right? So this thing doesn't understand whether or not the person put hours and hours into their work and then went over to something like Invoke AI, which is Stable Diffusion. This is unique interface, or UI, whatever, and then did a slight modification to it, just a very slight, maybe because they wanted to make sure like everything was smooth or something, right? Because maybe like it wasn't as smooth as they wanted it to be, or maybe they had to upscale it, or they had to downscale. Downscaling changed too much, and so they run it through a low scaling, and now it redoes it, or they upscale it, and then they do piece by piece, right? They have to go like this and do piece by piece, and fix all of it at a low resolution, because all they're trying to do is make everything look crisp. And sometimes when you upscale things, it makes things look weird. And so if you then go at a low enough thing like a 0.08 image strength, and you go through and you just do little parts at a time, you can then make it look really sharp and awesome, ready for printing. And guess what this thing is going to tell you? 100% AI generated. So as you can see, it's not really giving you useful information. So if that's all you wanted to see is how it works and that he's obviously wrong, then there you go, you're done. But I just want to show some other things. So by him going, well, look it, man, it told me this is 99.9%. That doesn't tell him anything. I could have painted this and spent 20 hours on this, which I didn't, but I could have spent 20 hours on this, just did a low pass thing on it, and boom, as far as he knows, it's 100% AI. It doesn't, in other words, this site tells him nothing about what the process was. Nothing about the process. So if you look at my my Yuri process here, the AI thing tells you nothing about the process, that I went through all of this right here, that I had to do all of this work to get to this stage here. Hold on, let me pause it there. Oh, come on. Where's that? There we go. To get to this stage here, which was all my artwork, right? I designed all this. I had to draw this to be this way. All the colors, everything is mine, right? Now, I knew I didn't have, I've learned that I don't have to bring it to such a final finished anymore. I can just get to something like this and that's enough. So I love that. It saves so much time, right? Like, what's the point of using AI if I have to spend hours to get basically a final piece just to use AI to make it look a little bit better? That's retarded. That doesn't save any time. But if I can just do something like this, which looks cool enough, I think, but it's very sloppy, but it's enough for AI to determine and make it into something like that, bam. But it's not done yet. Look, there's so much of this that's wrong. The hands are wrong, hair's wrong, face is messed up, feet are wrong, the belts are wrong, this is wrong, this is supposed to be breast, supposed to be straps and all that. So then I take the time to go and fix all that and repaint all of it, right? I have to paint the hands from scratch, but it doesn't recognize that, and I'll tell you why. Because after I paint the hands by scratch, I then take it back into AI, I just select that area, and I do a very low pass, a 0.08 pass on it. Well, what happened when we did a 0.08 pass on this? The whole image, right? So by doing a 0.08 pass doesn't change anything. It still pretty much looks exactly like what he did. So I paint the hand, I do a low pass on it. It's still my work that I had there, right? It's just a very low pass. So all it does is what this did. So pretty much all my marks are still there, but it rearranges the pixels enough that this program goes, oh, that is definitely AI generated, because it regroups the pixels the way AI regroups pixels, and that's what it's looking for. So anyway, then I go in and I paint all those, and then I do a very low pass. So you can see that's a very low pass. Look, it's not really not changing anything. You can watch the here I'm painting more. You can watch the full length video I have on my YouTube channel as well. This is just a short. I have the full one where I explain the process. And so here's the end result, right? That foot was painted by me. It did very little, right? It did very little to this as I did a very low pass on it, right? It just added very little to it. But as far as this website's concerned, it thinks that that would be 100% AI done, right? Which I've already proved. I demonstrated that. I proved it by showing his own artwork. Okay, so then I did some other ones just out of curiosity. So I did this painting here, and here's the original. It says 0 because that's correct. I did this 100% in PaintStorm before I even knew what AI generation was. And then I did a very low pass on it, and bam. And so all I did is I took my image here, I uploaded it, my original painting, which is this one. I took my original painting here, make sure it's all the, yeah, so I got to cut off that little edge right there, like that, so it's the same size. Boom, I did this original painting at 0.08, and all I said is, like, matter of fact, here, I'll just get the exact thing, right, where I just say, beautiful young woman holding basket of grapes dressed in a bottle. You can read it if you can, anyway. So there it is, and then I have it at a small thing at a 0.08, and then I invoke it, and you're going to see it's going to look like almost exactly identical. Look at that. It hardly did anything to it at all. Let's go. Here's my original. Here's that one. Original, that one. Hardly did anything at all, but watch this. I download this, go over here. Let's first do the original one I just showed you, which is here. and you can see it's going to say 0%, so it's hand done. Go to here, watch this. 99.9% AI generated. But you saw that that's my painting. Now watch this. Let's go back. Let's do even less. Let's do a 0.07 rather. This is going to be so much like mine. Even the face will be like mine. Like it's going to be so similar. Look at this. Here's the original. Look at that. So similar. Like hardly anything has changed. But according to this, it's going to be like 90% sure now. Based on past experience, that's what it's going to say. And 99.9% still. 80-20% ratio. What this shows is that he doesn't know how this site works. He doesn't know what it's doing. And it's not any sort of argument at all for him to use, right? For him to say, well, look I think that you're only doing 20% of the work. How can you possibly know that, regardless of what this site says? Because you know you did 100% of your Raven work. And then my work, you can see I did nothing to it hardly at all. I did it live here on this video. I did hardly anything to it. It's almost identical to yours. Yet it's 100% or 99.9% confident that it was AI generated. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that you didn't actually put any work into it, that AI did most of the work? No, you know AI didn't know most of the work because you saw what happened. Same with my paintings, right? So this tells you nothing about how much work is put into it. If you want to know how much work is put into it, well, it has to be one that I've recorded, like the Yuri, right? I recorded the Yuri process. So if anyone wants to see how much work I put into it, they can see it, right? And some other ones I have uploaded as well. Some of them I put more work into others. But I put work into all of them, right? They all take me at least an hour to do. And none of that is that's not counting the time it takes to like type stuff or whatever. I'm not talking about that. Like nothing to do with the generating part, with my actual work that I put into it. Anyway, one of the things I found kind of interesting is I did this image and this image exactly the same way. I started with the full painting that I did myself, and then I slowly went through it and started generating it to get it to this higher quality of standard. The end result is that none of these pixels were mine, right? Everything I painted, if I went and painted this little part right here, then I took it back into AI and I just selected that part and I did a low pass on it. So it should say 99.9%, but it doesn't. It might just be one of those flukes like with the Brad Pitt, right? You saw that I did the exact same thing, but one says it's 99% sure it's AI generated. The other one said, like 12%, whatever. It's like a very low probability. So once in a while, I guess it does that. I'm not really sure why that is. But I did the same exact technique for both of these. And this one took like 5 hours. This one took like 4 hours, something like that to do completely. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I ramble on for a while about some other stuff that you guys probably don't care about. I did come up with a really cool way to actually take images that have score very high and have them score very low. It does significantly change how they kind of look though. But anyway, if you guys want, you're still here watching, then check out one of my courses here. So this is the one where I show all the techniques on how to work with AI and come up with awesome images and make money really fast. And here's my best 3D anatomy course. This isn't just for sculptors. This is also for if you want to be better at painting and sculpting, or sculpting, but if you want to be better at painting and drawing the human figure, like this is going to help you so much, like so much. I can't even describe how much it helps. So definitely take this course for sure. Even if you've taken my other anatomy course, you definitely want to take this one. All right, so that's it. Go ahead and leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Join in the debate. Let's debate about this shit.